All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to our trawl through Dr. Dave Regis's ebook, Chess Tactics, 10-Step to Chess Tactics for Beginners. And we were busy looking at discovered attacks, jumps. And we've got 5 more examples of those today, including one later on in the video that's a really famous pattern. So let's get straight to it. Our first game is from 1914. The place is Troppau, and it's Krajcik against Baumgartner. So this is 107 years ago as I record this, on the outbreak of the outbreak of World War I. Incredible stuff. So let's see how the game went. E4, E5, knight to F3, bishop to C5. Now this is a not particularly sound gambit. I think the computer will start saying +1 in a minute when it's had a chance to think about it. Yeah, so not the best move for black. Not completely and utterly awful, but when you've got so many alternatives that are better, why play it? But anyway, knight takes E5 from white. Bishop takes F2 from black, and it's all very sharp already. King takes and white's +3, queen to H4, G3 to block the check, and queen here to E4, which black probably thought was very nice too. They look like they're winning a piece. Look, the knight and the rook are forked. What on earth can white do? Well, white sets up a really rather nasty trap. Queen to E2. Putting the queen on the same line as the king. Now, is black going to fall for the trap? Well, you betcha. Queen takes H1. And up goes the evaluation bar. And why? So what on earth is so scary about this position? Well, we've got queen on the same line as the king with the knight in the way. And the knight just needs to move to the right square and all will be well in the world. But what if we play bishop to G2 first? Now, what's happening here? The bishop's attacking the queen. So obviously the queen's got to go somewhere. Well, let's look at her options. If she goes here, let's say queen takes H2, knight to G4, there's the discovered check. And when black gets out of check, knight takes queen. Okay, well, not very pleasant, is it? Queen takes, obviously, no good. Queen here, queen here, queen here, queen here are obviously no good for pretty obvious reasons, but queen takes bishop. Well, once again, knight to D3, discovered check from the queen, and the knight is going to take the black queen. So actually, there's nothing that the poor black queen can do. She is gone. Ouch. Very nasty trap based on the power of the discovered attack. Okay, let's get to our second one for today. And we've got Maurer against Zaug from Bern in 1987. So I believe that's Switzerland. I'm pretty sure Bern is Switzerland. So let's see how this one goes. E4, E5, knight to F3, knight to C6, bishop to C4, knight to F6, D4, E takes D4, castles, knight takes E4. Now we've seen this in Dr. Dave's opening course. It's too greedy. Black has 2 extra pawns in the middle of the board, but precisely no real king safety, bit behind in development. And yeah, it doesn't work out so well. So although black in theory you think would be +2 because they're 2 pawns up, in practice the computer actually says the positions, if anything, you know, it's dead level. Maybe white prefers the position to black, and that's with black 2 pawns up. So let's see why. Our next move, move 6, we have rook to E1, which makes sense. So putting the rook on the same line as the king. D5 to support the knight, all perfectly logical. But bishop takes D5, queen takes D5. Looks like white's lost a bishop, but not at all because of 2 pins. Knight to C3, so it attacks the queen and attacks the knight. It's a fork, but the pawn can't take the knight because of queen takes queen, and the knight can't take the knight because rook takes king, so that's actually illegal. So knight to C3 is a clever move. Black plays queen to H5. Knight takes E4 from white, so going with the knight, not the rook, setting up the potential discovered attack. Bishop to E7 to block the check, very sensible. Bishop G5 from white, and castles from black. And then Dr. Dave says in the notes, black did not wait for 11, knight to g3, hitting the queen and unmasking an attack on e7. So this is quite a tricky move. Knight to g3, two things. First of all, it attacks the queen. But secondly, it puts a second attacking piece on this bishop. So previously there was only the bishop attacking, but now there's the rook too. So when black does something with the queen, so either here or here, because nothing else makes any sense, there's no other safe squares, let's say here, bishop takes and white has simply become a piece up. Okay, that was quite nice. Nice little game. All right, the next one, we have Ripley against El Messiri, a correspondence game from 1997. Okay, let's go through this. And actually, it looks like this is one where black wins. So let's just turn the board upside down and see from the point of view of the winner. So e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, e takes d4, bishop to c4, this all looks familiar, just upside down, knight to f6, castles, and black again goes in for the knight takes e4 line. Okay, so there they are, there's those two pawns, exactly the same as the last game, but the computer still says pretty level. In fact, it now says pretty level, well, plus 0.11, that's, yeah, pretty much dead equal chances. So rook e1 from white, same as the last game, just the other way up, pinning the knight, d5 from black to protect the knight, and white doesn't go for bishop d5, which we saw in the last game, but instead bishop to d3, bishop to e7, and what happens now? So Dr. Dave says that white moves the bishop on d3, uncovering an attack on d4 by the queen. So when this goes, the queen will be joining the knight in attacking d4. But Dr. Dave finishes his sentence with but ... So I think a trap may be heading this way. Let's have a look. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes. And of course, the point is, yes, okay, so the point is that although, yeah, taking here uncovered an attack on here, when black recaptures, that also uncovers a defense. So this particular game, it's not so much a discovered attack as a discovered defense. And in fact, I've just looked at Dr. Dave's title for this game, and sure enough, he's called it Unmasking Attack, Unmasking Defense. And yeah, let's just see how this game ended. I presume knight takes d4. Yeah, white just forgot queen takes d4 is winning, because after queen takes, knight takes, as you can see, black is an entire bishop and a pawn up. Ouch. All right, let's get to our next game. This is the fourth one of 5 today, and this game is entitled The Mill. Specifically, that's short for the windmill. Now, it's a very, very lengthy game, and I think when we get to, well, lengthy relative to the others, it's nearly 20 moves. But I think when we get to the crucial moment, I might well put the analysis lines on, because this is quite a confusing tactic. And it's saying often known as the windmill. So we got Knoppel against Hogwall, 1995, Rilton Cup. Okay, fine. And Dr. Dave says, sorry about the daft opening. So the two players played a slightly unusual, unorthodox opening. So b4 and b6. So the Polish opening. Okay, it's quite playable. It's just very unusual. Bishop to b2, bishop to b7. I'm not sure about black's response, but I mean, the computer says level, so who am I to argue? e3, knight to f6, knight to f3, e6, a3, supporting that pawn, bishop to e7, c4, castles, knight to c3, d6, queen to c2, knight b to d7, h3, h6. Black has almost set up a sort of a hedgehog defense here. Not quite, because in the hedgehog, the bishop would be here and this knight would be on e7, but it's kind of is. Move 10, white, bishop to e2, c6 from black. Yeah, very hedgehoggy. rook to g1 from white, d5 from black. Okay, so trying to break out in the center, which makes sense because look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces defending that square, so that makes sense. G4 from white, going for an attack on the black king. C5 from black. So the I said the hedgehog, didn't I? I meant the hippo, not the hedgehog. The hippo's the defense, where black doesn't go past the third line until he's ready, and then very ominously advances forward. G5 from white. H takes G5. Knight takes G5. Knight to E4. Knight C takes E4, and what you need to see starting to develop is this combination from the rook and the bishop. Pawn takes, knight takes on E6. It's forking the queen and the rook, so there's not really a lot for black to do except capture here. And now you'll see +3, give or take. And this is an example of the windmill. Now, what the windmill is a series of discovered attacks and discovered checks. So I'm going to take you through this game, how it went through, and I'm going to put the lines on here just so you can see that there's not really any way for black to do anything about it. They're just going to have a load of pieces hoovered up. So notice at the moment, white has sacrificed a knight. All right, black's got an extra knight there. There it is. Woo, hello, I'm a knight. There it is. But he's going to get back far, far more than a knight from this windmill attack. So rook takes G7. Now remember, the bishop is supporting that square. So there's nothing that the king can do except go to H8. And now when the rook moves, which he will, it's suddenly check from the bishop. So rook takes E7. Now, I'm suggesting that the best move for black here is not to go in for the windmill, is going to be to put the pawn in the way. But even then, if you play E5, white's still doing very nicely, thank you. But okay. Let's see what actually happens in the game. So rook takes E7, the king went back. Rook to G7 check, king to H8. Rook takes knight, check from the bishop again, another discovered attack. And so on and so on and so on. And the king will go back, and the rook will go here, and the king will go back, and the rook will go here, and the king will go back, and the rook will go here, and the king will go back, and the rook can go here if it feels like it, because why not? And the king will go back, and the rook will go here, and the king will go back, and this time the rook will go here, and the king will go back, and rook takes queen. So basically, white, with this windmill system of the bishop and the rook lining up against the king on this file and this diagonal, is just allows you to go along and hoover up everything. I just want to go back to the bit where black could have possibly put something in the way. So we had rook takes G7. So in this position, that's forced. Rook takes is forced. And what black should be playing here is, instead of constantly moving the king back, they should try E5. But it has to be said that doesn't even work, because bishop takes is check. And really the best you've got is knight takes and rook takes. And even in this position, it's just so much better for white, because, I mean, it only says 2.5, but it's a lot better for white. And it's a lot better for white because why? Well, what have we got material-wise? Both sides have got the same heavy pieces, rooks and bishops and queens, but white has an extra, let me see, 7 pawns against 3 pawns. But also the black king is completely exposed. So white's going to have the option to castle and get their king to some kind of safety, but the black king is, all the castle walls have been pulled down. So that is an example of the mill. There's plenty of other examples. If you can find a game on YouTube, I think the FIDE master Eric Schiller has a video on YouTube. Schiller spelled S-C-H-I-L-L-E-R, Eric Schiller, on a windmill game by a player from the early 1900s or mid 1800s. Not sure. Anyway, his name was Harwitz. I'm sure it's a Harwitz that played an incredible windmill game, and Schiller's got a video on it. So that's worth having a look if you want to see some more examples of that ridiculous tactic with the rook and the bishop just hoovering everything up. Okay, one more game for this video then, and then we're done with the idea of discovered attacks. And this time the title is A Diagonal Mill. So presumably this one is going to be by a bishop, and it's Pinter against Nixon. It's a schools tournament, is it? Or no, it was played at a school, at Millfield School. So it's a tournament, 2003. Let's see how this one goes. And again, the windmill tactic being so complicated, I might pop the computer on at the end just to make sure I don't say anything that's wrong. Don't want to mislead you with a mistake. So, oh, but not yet. Okay, so e4, e5. Knight f3, knight c6. d4, so Scotch game. ed4, knight d4, knight f6. Knight takes pawn. The b pawn takes. Knight to d2. Bishop to c5. Bishop to d3. d6. a4. Okay, that's the first move where I've sort of gone why, and sure enough, the computer doesn't think much of it either, but whatever, it was played. Knight to g4, castles, so I suspect that our windmill is going to be something to do with this bishop, but we'll see in a sec. Castles, queen to h4 is played by black, so a not very subtle checkmate threat, as well as being now a third piece lining up on f2. So this is all looking a bit scary. No wonder it says -2 and a bit. And knight to f3 from white. So obviously this attacks the queen and defends the checkmate square. So white must have thought that they were doing quite well here. And this is where I'm going to put the lines on. Now, Dr. Dave's comment in the book is black can ignore the attack on his queen because he gets white's queen and more. And plays knight takes f2. Okay, well, let's have a little look at what happens if you take on h4. So knight takes queen, knight takes queen, which is a discovered check. There it is. So the king, realistically, the only good move is to go back. And then after knight here, you could just sacrifice the exchange, and it's probably the best move, just to play rook takes knight and accept that you've lost a rook for a knight. But if you play king to g1, you get knight d3, which is another check from the bishop, and the king goes back again, and the knight will go to f2 with check. And once again, the best bet is probably just to take. But if you play king here, then you run into knight takes pawn, and you've lost something else again. In this position, oh no, I've gone one too fast, sorry. So in this position, what's the best thing for white to do? Well, the best thing is just accept that you've lost material and just take the knight straight away. There's not really a way out of it. And then after queen takes, king to h1, okay, the game can go on. There's quite an advantage to black. You know, black's a pawn and an exchange up, but at least there's some chess still to be played, I guess. But yeah, that's the diagonal windmill tactic. Very, very nasty indeed. Okay, and that brings us to an end of the chapter on discovered attacks. And I'll be back fairly soon with some more tactics for you from Dr. Dave. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.